Yo, what's going on, guys? Seth Spartan here, and today we are going to be talking about a very important subject and topic, so make sure you watch this video all the way to the very end because I'm going to be teaching you and sharing with you guys something that most people really do not know, and this is going to be a game changer in terms of bodybuilding, fitness, and athletics. So you guys are ready? Here we go. All right, guys. So today we're going to be talking about creatine monohydrate, the truth about creatine monohydrate. I want to drive home two hard, important points when talking about creatine and why creatine monohydrate, because creatine monohydrate, in my professional opinion and in many other people's opinions, when talking about reputable people in the industry, this is by far the most effective type of creatine, price per gram, all right, or price per effect, okay, with how much benefit you're getting in terms of money to gain, all right? Having said all that, let's talk about creatine monohydrate. Make sure you watch this video to the end. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I already tried shooting this video once, but as normal, I like to get into the details and give probably more information than I need to, but I'm just going to try to wrap this up. And if we're looking swole, it's because boom, we just hit a killer back workout. It was awesome. And obviously, as you guys can see, I'm carrying a lot more size than I was before over the last couple months. So anyways, here we go. Creatine monohydrate. Two drive home, take home points. If you only remember two things and you stop the video right now, these are the two things you need to remember. Point number one. Most people are not taking enough creatine monohydrate. Most people are taking nowhere near as much creatine monohydrate as they should be to maximize muscle mass gains, strength gains, or performance gains, and also fat loss. Yes, there's a fat loss effect with creatine monohydrate. You have to remember that boosting up ATP levels in some research can actually help burn fat, and along with that, creatine monohydrate increases DHT levels, which also DHT contributes to fat loss. Okay, let's not go down that road though. Why? Point number one, most people are not taking enough creatine monohydrate. And point number two, creatine monohydrate being the preferred form is much more extremely powerful for building muscle mass and boosting performance and strength than anybody thought. So let's explore these 2 points and I'm out of here. Point number one, most people are taking too little creatine. Why? Why are people taking too little creatine? If you look at medical studies, or if you look at people that are supposed to be gurus, in the industry, or you look online, everybody says the same thing. They're all regurgitating the same thing. 5 grams, 5 grams, 5 grams. Take 5 grams a day. Take it around your workout. Take it this, take it that. Some people will venture out and say a little bit more than 5 grams. But here's the bottom line. Everything you hear is too low, is far too low of a dosage. If you want to maximize performance with creatine and reap the actual benefits, you're going to need to dose much higher than this. How do I know? I've tried this. I've tested this with myself and also when I used to do coaching in the past for different sports and also bodybuilding. All right. And I was sucked into this a little bit too with the 5 grams thing. Okay. But I quickly realized that more was better in terms of muscle mass and also strength gain. If we look at studies, you know, they're not involved with, they're not done with people carrying large amounts of muscle mass, be it bodybuilders or other athletes. Most of the time they're done with people that are, average or maybe are athletic. Okay. So here's the bottom line. Most people are not taking enough creatine monohydrate. Why? Because the studies are not taking into account people that are carrying anything more than a typical amount of muscle mass. And even in those studies, it can be argued very well, by the way, that in the studies, people are not maxing out their ATP stores to begin with 5 grams. So here's the thing, and let's talk about real world for a second. I have noticed for myself, there is a huge difference between 5 grams, 10 grams, and 15 grams of creatine per day taken, continually in terms of performance. Recently, guys, and I've always been, for my size, I've always stuck to right around 10 grams a day, okay? Recently, I bumped from 10 grams to 15 grams per day, and continual dosing, and stronger, more reps, noticeably, a couple more pounds of weight. And, the thing is that, again, the more muscle you carry, the more creatine you have to take. And I would tell people, don't take more than 10 grams at a time, because you're going to get bloated and you're going to have some digestion issues with that. It can give you an upset stomach. All right. So no more than 10 grams per day of creatine if you're going to dose this. All right. So we touched on the medical studies, why they're messed up in terms of, trying to take that to bodybuilding. And guys, there's a lot of, a lot of good, gurus or people that know their stuff in the bodybuilding fitness world that are, they'll also say, oh, you don't need more than 5 grams. You don't need more than 5 grams. And they're right, sort of, with the studies. But again, they do not take into account people that are carrying a lot more mass. Okay. I'm 240 right now. 5 grams is not going to cut it. If I was, a buck 50 and just a skinny athlete, 5 grams would maybe suffice. I would argue that you'd probably need more than that. I'd still probably need about 8 grams. So bottom line, first point, most people are not taking enough creatine monohydrate, period. Let's touch on point number 2. Point number 2 is this: creatine is way more powerful than anybody could have thought, okay? If we're talking about, let's take myself, let's say I'm eating a well-rounded bodybuilding diet, right? Lean meats, carbohydrates to supplement energy needs, and essential fats to help rebuild muscle tissue and other tissues in the human body, right? Here's the point. If we go from 0 to 5 to 10 to 15, and that's where I'm sitting right now, about 15 grams of creatine monohydrate a day. And again, I'm going to do a whole nother video on why creatine monohydrate is the best type of creatine to buy, talking about gain to how much it costs. And, if we can argue that there's better absorption with other types of creatine, but here's the bottom line, guys. Here's the simple bottom line. You can just take more. Okay, and be easier on your wallet. If absorption's a little lower, you can just take a little bit more. It's not a big deal. And also, creatine monohydrate has the most proven benefit in studies that we've seen, and it's dirt cheap. So you can just take more of it. Who cares if there's slightly more absorption? And this water bloating thing, I have found this to be a myth. Okay, we'll talk about this later. Point number 2. Let's finish this. Video's over. Here's the bottom line: creatine is far more powerful than most people realize. Okay. So the thing is, if I go from 0, let's say I'm taking 0 creatine versus taking 15 grams. That's what I'm doing right now. 15 grams continually. For my size, I'm 240, and you guys can tell how much muscle I'm carrying, right? So if we go from 0 to 15 grams, full saturation dose for whatever muscle mass you're carrying, there is a huge difference. We are talking, 15 to 20 pounds of lean muscle mass gain, depending on, I guess it depends on what you're sitting at already. The more muscle you have before you take creatine, the more gain you're going to make from using creatine, and the more creatine you can use and utilize. So put it this way: the bigger you are, the more muscle you carry, the more creatine is going to benefit you. Why? Because you can utilize, your body can fill out more ATP stores. You can use more creatine, you can get more gain. So it's actually, the benefit is going up with size, okay? All right, and that's the big thing is that, and if we're talking about gains, put it this way: if I'm taking 0 grams of creatine, I could probably squat about 8 reps, okay? 8 reps. If I'm taking 15 grams of creatine, I can probably squat 12 reps now for my sets. And I have actually measured this out, and yes, it is like this in the real world. And again, for me, 0 grams of creatine to 15 grams of creatine, I'm gaining about 15 pounds of weight if I'm using 15 grams continually. Why? Because I'm filling out ATP stores to the maximum. So guys, the 2 points: most people are taking nowhere near as much creatine. Point number 2, Point 1, people are not taking enough creatine anywhere near enough, because they're listening to this 5 grams garbage, which does not consider how much muscle mass you're carrying. Point number 2, creatine is far more powerful than most people realize. Why? Because they have no idea. They stop at 5 grams and they don't go up to full saturation. All right, video's over. That's pretty much it. And you might ask then, Seth, how do I know how much to take? I wish I could just give you guys a number. Oh, take 5 grams if you're 150 pounds. If you're about 200, take 10 grams. And if you're over, take, that would be simple and that would be easy. But here's the problem. Some people are carrying more muscle than others, and you can't tell by weight because of their height too. And then some people are carrying more fat than others. So the thing is that to know actually what dosage to tell you guys and give to you guys, I would have to know exactly how much muscle mass. And I could, if I saw you guys in person, I could say this about, just take an approximation based on what you look like, right? Just an eyeball, guess how many, and give you a dosage. But here's the perfect way to answer this question cheaply and easily for you. How do you know how much to take to maximize muscle mass, strength, and performance? And, really to be the best bodybuilder, fitness, athlete, whatever you want to be? Here's the bottom answer. Take whatever dosage continually for a month and slowly increase until you're not getting the scale's not going up anymore, or you're not getting any more reps added to your major lifts, okay? So first is weights going up and also reps added to major lifts. And when you keep, let's say we get up to, 15, 20, whatever, 10, 15, 20, whatever. Once you're not putting on any more muscle or once your weight's not going up on the scale anymore, and once you're not adding any more reps onto major lifts, assuming you've been training for a while, you can noticeably tell 1 week you're way stronger. Then hey, I don't need to go any higher. This is my saturation dose. So there you go, guys. That's the truth about creatine monohydrate. Sorry I made this longer again, but there's too much to talk about regarding this. Seth Spartan, and we are out of here.